Hi there, this is Susan coming to you from Jaipur Yoga here in the sunny Montclair. At least it's sunny out today. This is going to be a sequence for women going through menopause and hot flashes. Yoga has a lot of things to offer. And one of the things that it offers is ways to treat different symptoms. The postures themselves have healing properties. I think much of it is from the activation of the hormone and nervous system, the muscles, the glands, everything gets going. And some of the problems with menopause are no exception. This is about hot flashes. There isn't a woman who's gone through menopause who hasn't had hot flashes, even if they've only had very few. So here we are, and we'll all start together. It's nice to be in the Jaipur studio. It feels like it carries the spirituality of the studio here in its very walls. So come and sit. Bring your hands behind you onto your hips. Relax your legs down. Press your chest up. Pull your shoulders back. Bring your hands in front of your heart. No matter what you're doing at home, we always find ways to stay busy. Busy bodies, busy minds. So this is an opportunity to begin the practice of yoga. To quiet the mind. To lift, lengthen, extend the body. Make more space for the breath. Lift your chest, broaden your collarbones, move your shoulder blades into your back. We'll chant Om together 3 times. So exhale your breath. Inhale your breath. Om. Take a breath in, lift your chest, bring the breath up into the top of the lungs. Keep your chest lifted as you bow your head to the light within. That spark of divinity that joins us all together. Release your hands, lift your head, slowly open your eyes. So the first pose we're going to do for hot flashes. Let me say something about hot flashes first. Besides that every woman who's gone through menopause has had at least one. Hot flashes are also related to night sweats. They're hot flashes, only you're sleeping. So there you are, and you wake up all sweaty. It's possible that practicing this before bedtime may quiet some of that. Hot flashes occur when decreased estrogen levels cause your body's thermostat, the hypothalamus, to become sensitive to slight changes in body temperature. When the hypothalamus thinks your body is too warm, it starts a chain of events, a hot flash, to cool you down. Hot flashes may be precipitated by hot weather, like the summer now, smoking, caffeine, spicy food, alcohol, tight clothing, heat, and stress. It helps if you can identify your own hot flash triggers. Sometimes exercising in warm weather or warm temperatures brings on a hot flash or makes them worse. Now the hypothalamus is part of the limbic system, and it's here in the back of the brain. So most of these poses are done to cool the brain, to quiet the brain. Now, along with that, of course, it also quiets stress. It promotes deep, even breathing. So all things that help not only with hot flashes, but in other aspects of our mental and emotional life. The first pose is Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. So I'm going to set up here. I'm going to show you how I'm going to set up. For those of you who don't know, this is a pose with a seated pose with one straight leg and one bent leg. So I have here about 6 blankets because we're going to use the blankets to support you as well as, and I have some blocks. So I figure everybody at home has blankets and throw pillows. If you don't have blankets, you have beach blankets, you have blankets on your bed, you have quilts. So all of those will work pretty well here. So the first pose. These poses are done on both sides. I'll show you each side for a brief moment. And I think I'm missing a strap. You also need a strap. If you have a yoga strap, that's wonderful. If you don't have a yoga strap, I just pulled one of the ropes off. You can use anything. You can use the tie for your bathrobe. You could use a bunch of kitchen towels hooked together, tied together. So first I start by sitting up nice and straight, stretching both legs out. Then I'm gonna show you on this leg because it faces the camera first. I bring my hand inside my knee and I bend my knee and I put my foot against the opposite thigh. Now, here's where the props come in. I'm sitting on one blanket because my knee comes down. But if your knee looks more like this, you're going to want to sit up on 2 or 3 blankets. So I'm going to sit higher. I have a big pile of blankets here. And if your knee is still up, which it may no longer be, then you could take a block or a blanket and put it underneath. So this is the beginning of the setup. So let's say that this is where you are. Now I have 2 blankets and I have an extra block because what if you're stiff? So the first part of the pose looks like this. This is the part where I pull on if you can reach your hands here, if you're flexible and you're down lower. I pull my upper arms back, I lift my chest, I move my shoulder blades in. This bottom leg stays straight and I press it down to the floor. And then as I lift my chest, I look up. I breathe slowly and deeply into my side ribs and my chest, breathing in and out through my nose. So that's part 1. Each one of these parts could be held for as long as 5 minutes, especially the head down parts. So that's part 1, or part A, of Janu Shirshasana. Now I'm going to take these out because it's more appropriate for my body. And I'm going to take 2 blankets. If you have bolsters or you have throw pillows, you pile them up here. But I'm using 2 folded blankets. So I start here, I lift my chest, that's part A. Then I'm going to bend my elbows, lengthen my whole trunk forward. So I bend at the hip crease, round here, and I don't wring my shoulder blades off my back. I keep my shoulder blades on my back. I come over, and I place my head on the support. Now this is the part that really is helpful. You quiet down. I think maybe I would like a little more support my elbows. I quiet down. I level my trunk so that I'm not facing this way or that way. I bring my whole trunk right over my extended leg. And then I rest my head. And I breathe. Filling out the side ribs, filling out the back lungs, softening so that I've been letting my belly spread so I can also get the lower front lungs. You can hold this pose 5 to 10 minutes, whatever's comfortable for you. Feels really nice. Things get quiet. There's pressure on my forehead, which transmits into my brain, telling my brain to quiet down, telling my hypothalamus, which is deep inside back here, to relax, that everything's cool, that it doesn't have to heat me up. And then when I'm finished, I come up. I take the props off. I come back to my first pose. And I settle for a minute. So none of this is rushed. Everything is flowing, quiet, because I'm trying to quiet my brain so that my brain tells my body everything's all right. Says to the estrogen, it's okay. You have a little more today, you have a little less today, everything's all right. So that's the first pose. The second pose is also a forward bend with your head down. It starts the same way. So I start here. I get my strap if I need one. Chest should look familiar, right? Upper arms pressed back, shoulder blades into the back. My legs are reaching forward through my heels, through the balls of my feet, and I'm pressing my thighs down toward the floor. Obviously, if you're sitting up high on several blankets, your thighs are not going to reach the floor. Move my shoulder blades into my back, lift my chest, keep my collarbones broad, and look up. I don't throw my head back, I just look up gently. The key to all of this is slow and gentle and quiet. So the whole nervous system responds by quieting down. So I hold that. Again, you hold as long as it is comfortable for you. Then I'm going to get my support again. If you need more support, look how high I could get. I could come forward like this. Notice I'm not like this. I keep my spine between my shoulder blades, my upper spine moving in. So you can look like this. It's easy for me to bend forward, so you might look like this. Notice I stay broad here, so I get lots of breath in my torso. The breath helps you slow down. Slow, even, full breaths help quiet the nervous system. You know, when you get uptight, you hold your breath or you breathe fast. This is the opposite. Spread my elbows, keep my collarbones broad, relax my head. Keep my legs pressing down toward the floor and my heels reaching away from me. Again, 5 to 10 minutes, if that's comfortable for you. Obviously, if it's not comfortable, you come up. The goal here is that these poses take a little bit of physical activity and a high degree of comfort, quiet, peace, relaxation. This is really great. So you're not supposed to go to your maximum. If I go to my maximum, I can feel my hamstrings saying, what are you doing? I feel too much stress in my whole body. This way. I'm not seeing how far I can go. I'm seeing how quiet I can become. The nervous system responds to that. So when I come out again slowly. I remove my props and I sit for a moment. If you come up quickly, it seems to me you would defeat the whole process that you're trying to put your body through. So that's Paschimottanasana, straight-legged forward bend. Now the next pose is Halasana on a chair or plow pose. And I got 2 chairs because I know most people don't have yoga chairs. So I'm going to show you doing 2 chairs because everybody has a couple of kitchen chairs. So I'm going to set up like this. I'm going to show you the setup. This takes 3 blankets. You could use 4 blankets. A little wrinkle in my blanket, which isn't going to feel very comfortable. I want to take all my wrinkles out here. There it is, got that wrinkle. So I've got 3 blankets. And I'm going to take another one and I'm going to open it up on top. And I'm going to put this part here so that when my head rests, my head will have something soft. Again, soft, peaceful, quiet is the name of the game for hot flashes. Fold my mat over. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the 2 chairs. So obviously the chair that has no back, I can come over and put my legs here with no problem. But what if the chair has a back? So here's the deal. I create a chair with no back by putting 2 chairs together like this. And then if you had a bolster, you would put a bolster on your chair. I'm going to make believe I have a bolster by creating one. And I'm going to create it by using 2 blocks. So you can see I'm already lifted up. And then I'm going to fold a couple of blankets on top. Again, if you don't have blankets, you have pillows. Pillows work. Couch pillows work great. They're a little firmer than bed pillows usually. So it's going to be a little more difficult when you have 2 chairs. I'm going to take a block. Again, you could use a pillow here as a little booster pad. Because as I come onto my shoulders, remember this is a variant of an inversion, like shoulder stand, but it's more restful. So here I am, my head is on the floor. My shoulders are about 2 inches from the edge of my blankets. Bringing my chairs a little closer. Probably need to bring them a little closer. Now I have this booster pad to get me up. I'm going to lift my hips, come onto my shoulders. So watch. I turn my upper arms from the inside out so I can get up on my shoulders. I mean, I can even put my hands like this to get up higher on my shoulders. And then I'm going to, let's see if I can pull these chairs in. It's harder with 2 chairs. It would be nice if I could get the chairs close enough to support my thighs. But because of the way it is here, I can't. However, I'm still supported. My knees are on the blankets. And then I'm going to rest my arms. You can rest them down here. They feel more comfortable when the elbows are about the level of the shoulders, the upper arms, and then the elbows are bent like this. I press my thighs upward. I spread my collarbones. I press my upper arms down a little bit. But I'm not going to be active. Once I do that, I'm going to just release.
You can see here that my chin is close to my chest, closing my throat a little. If you have big breasts, you might want to move out a bit so you don't get caught here. And then I'm going to rest. Supported Halasana is a surprisingly restful pose. So my head is still slightly forward. There's pressure up just a little bit on the back of my head. I can close my eyes. The pressure on the head, I guess the layman's term would be, it helps your head relax, your brain relax. Remember, the hypothalamus is deep inside the brain. It needs not to be activated, it needs to be quieted. You want to tell the hypothalamus everything's all right in the body. It can relax. It doesn't have to heat you up. Eyes closed. Again, stay as long as 5 to 10 minutes. Here you could stay even longer if it felt comfortable. Some people feel very comfortable in inversion. Some people feel awkward. Sometimes there's a feeling that the throat gets caught. It's hard to breathe. You want to avoid that by putting enough blankets so that you don't feel that way. Notice I hope that my head, my hips are over my shoulders, so they're not leaning back so that my chest comes up and causes some choking. And you stay. Now coming out is just as important as how you get in and how you stay, because, as I've mentioned, you don't want to defeat what you just created. I created quiet. I created a sense in my brain that all is well. The blood still flows the same way, but gravity comes down, quieting things even more. So when I come out, it's very important that I come out slowly. So I'm going to place my hands here and hold on to my mat. And very, very slowly bring my knees in toward my chest. Pull on the mat a little bit to help you slowly come down. Slowly, 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 slowly. Pause. If the breath speeded up, let's slow down. And then I'm going to roll onto my right side, away from the camera so you won't see me. Tuck my arm under my ear. Pause for a minute. Take a couple of breaths. And then my head comes up last. So I let my head hang until I'm upright. And then I slowly lift my head up. So this is a sequence. You may not have the time to do this whole sequence. So you could pick 2 poses of the sequence and just do those. But the whole sequence has really healing and restorative properties. Another thing that happens during menopause is that we are more sensitive to stress. We feel often fatigued. So these poses have that healing property for the fatigue as well and the stress. Okay, the next pose is, now this one's going to take a little work here. This is Setu Bandha over 2 bolsters. So I'm going to take 2 of my blankets. I'm making a bolster, since most people don't have them. And I'm going to roll it up like this. And I'm going to put it crossways on my mat. And I'm going to take 2 more blankets, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I roll them tight so that they don't fall apart. And I'm gonna put this one like an X right on top.
So that's kind of saggy because I'm not using bolsters, I'm using blankets. So I'm gonna take my blocks and I'm gonna put one under here. That's too much. Let's see. Like this. If your floor is hard, you might want to put a blanket here. I'm going to put my head on the mat. So this is called in Iyengar yoga cross bolsters. So it's a gentle back bend. I'm going to sit right on the middle, right on where the X crosses. And then I'm going to come down. Notice when I come down, I take the top of my buttocks and I keep them moving toward my knees so that my low back stays long. Now I'm going to come down. By the way, if this is too much, you could put something else under here and make it a more gentle slant. Now, for Satyabandha, my shoulders and my head are on the floor. There go the shoulders, and the head is down. So the pose is done with straight legs, but the pose could also be done with bent knees like this. Notice that I have that same position here. My chest is lifted and my chin is coming toward my chest. So I'm not going to let my throat get tight. You can stretch your legs out, or you can keep them bent. If your back bothers you, you pick yourself up and you pull the top of your buttocks towards your knees a little more, so you get more length in that low back. So I'm going to stretch my legs out. My legs are wide. I make more space in the pelvis, more space in the uterus, in the ovaries, more space in the whole abdominal area. So there's not any compression going on. And then I close my eyes and I rest. This could feel very good. One of the things that happens during menopause is the period is often erratic. Sometimes it's very heavy, sometimes it's very scant. Sometimes you get a period twice in a month, sometimes you don't get one for 3 months. So space in the abdomen, lots of room for that whole area to quiet, breathe. I don't have one here today, but you could put something, a cloth, a washcloth, even a strap if you're using your own strap across your eyes to quiet the eyes. Again, very peaceful, very restful. Let your shoulders spread so the breath comes high up into the lungs, comes into the middle lungs, comes into the upper lungs. But I'm not doing very much here. The props are completely supporting me in this gentle back bend. I let my arms release, my legs release. I'd like to stay here, but we're moving on. Bend my knees, hold on. So I'm holding onto the mat just so I don't take everything with me. And I'm going to slide back. So I don't pop up, I slide back until my buttocks come to the floor. Pause. Remember the pause. Quiet down. So even just the movement of coming off of the props could be agitating. So you pause and you quiet down. Roll to the right, tuck my arm under my ear, pause. Press myself up, head comes up last. And I take my props away. And we go on to the next pose.
So the next pose requires a wall. So I'm going to use this wall right here. Viparita Karani. You'll see that the shape of my chest looks similar to where I was in Setubandha. This time I'm going to take my blankets. So here's a blanket that looks like this. If you don't have yoga blankets, you make the shape with whatever blankets you have. And I'm going to fold it in half the long way. And I'm going to make 2 of those. And I'm going to put the rounded edge away from the wall. And I have about, sometimes you can use a block right here. I'm not going to use one, but I'll show you how it looks. It has a spacer, but I want my buttocks to be able to drop. And that block is high, so my buttocks won't drop. So I have about 3 inches. Then I'm going to sit on the edge of my bolster, of my blankets. See, I'm used to using bolsters. And my right side here is touching the wall. And that's what I want. Now I want to lie back on everything. I'm going to put one hand on the wall. I'm going to hold one hand on my back, pull my knees into my chest, and kind of rotate myself around. My buttocks are touching the wall. Stretch my legs up the wall. And the blankets should be, I'm coming up to show you, right here, on my pelvis, on my sacrum. Sacrum is that diamond bone here. So that's where they should be, not up at my waist. Again, you could put a pillow up or a blanket under your head if this is not soft enough. Turn the upper arms from the inside out. Rest the arms. Rest the legs. Expand the chest. Again, the pressure of my head here is telling my brain all is well. You can be quiet. Soften the eyes. Let everything rest. Remember, these poses have healing properties. The hypothalamus responds, so it's not sending out signals that I should sweat, that I need my temperature adjusted. But it also quiets the entire nervous system, so I'm not as reactive. You can cover your eyes. A lot of people have eye pillows. I think they still sell them at CVS. Very soft on the eyes. I want my eyes to be quiet. My eyes have a direct connection into my brain. So if the eyes are jumping around, the brain is jumping around. And I stay. Again, you can stay 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes here, if you have the time. If you're not used to doing these poses and staying long, I recommend that you stay until you feel a sense of disquiet and then you come out of the pose. It takes a while to learn to let the body release and relax. It's not something we do, that we sleep. So I rest and I relax. Gravity is pulling down. Helps to soften and release tight legs. Tense blood vessels. Do you know your blood vessels can get tense? So all of these things help control the hot flashes, as well as the just agitation and disruption that comes during menopause. Hot flashes can last a year or 2. They can last 10 years or 12 years. Hard to believe. They can come once a day. They can come many times a day. Obviously, the more they come, the more you need to counteract that by quieting and resting. Pull your knees into your chest. You could cross your legs for a while. Then I'm going to press myself back. And again, slow and sure. Pick my head up slightly so I don't pull my hair. Come completely down onto the ground so my whole spine is flat. My head is flat. Change the cross of my legs, let them rest. Slow, soft, even breathing through every pose. How quieting and relieving the breath can be. If you're watching your breath, it gives your busy mind something to do. And then I'm going to roll to my right. Again, pause. I hope you would pause longer than I'm doing in this demonstration. So everything comes to rest. Then you gently and slowly pick yourself up. Head comes up last. And now I'm ready for the last pose. The last pose could be propless, but I prefer to use a blanket under my head because the last pose is Shavasana, or corpse pose. So I have a blanket here. As I come down, I look to see that I'm even and I'm not kind of all twisted up. Again, the body responds to things like this. So I'm coming down evenly. I take my buttocks and I move them toward my heels so my back stays long. Stretch my legs out. I have this blanket under my shoulders, under my head and my neck, and not my shoulders. And then I come down for Shavasana. Now, some people prefer to have a higher blanket, and that's fine. It depends a whole lot on the shape of your body, on the shape of your shoulders, on the curve of your neck, on the shape of your head. And then I let go. First, I let go of the arms and the legs, the organs of action. Soften and release the arms and the legs. See that my breathing is soft and slow. Then I release the rib cage. So the intercostal muscles here, I want to let them soften so the breath becomes slow and even by releasing these muscles. And then relax your eyes. Relax the space between the eyebrows, the third eye. Relax your cheeks. Relax your jaw. You might even open your mouth wide a couple of times to soften the jaw muscles. Stretch them. Relax the tongue so it's down in the bottom of your mouth. Soft little tongue. Follow the tongue back down into the throat so the throat is soft. Let the belly soften and spread. The arms and legs remain completely passive and relaxed. Breath soft and gentle. No effort anywhere. Completing the sequence by giving the body, again, time to completely soften and relax. The brain quiets. body responds to the support of the floor underneath you by quieting even more. Stay in this pose as long as you have, as long as you like. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. When you're ready to come out, you gently deepen the breath. Not big breaths, just gentle deepening. And then one at a time, bend your elbows, place your hands on your body. One at a time, bend your knees. Place your feet on the floor. Pause. The pauses in all of these poses are very important for keeping the brain quiet. And then roll to your right. Hold on. Put your arm under your ear, under your head. Pause. Head comes up last. And then again, to finish the sequence, you sit upright. Chest lifts, collarbones broad, shoulder blades out of your back. Gradually finding yourself upright, alert, yet calm.